guys, my name is Amanda Joy Anderson and welcome to my channel. Today on episode 4 of Meltdown to Enlightenment, we will be talking about transforming through loss. So if you are brand new to my channel, please make sure that you like and subscribe, and thank you for joining me today. So one of the things I really like to do is learning through different perspectives. And today, since we're talking about loss, I thought I would share this book with you guys. It's called Agora at the Left-Hand Path of God. Yeah. So you guys can see that. This is a really cool book, and it is a really good read. The reason I like this book is because it talks about the Agori philosophy of trying to balance things in life. So when we go through losses, they tend to feel very extreme. Now, Agoris will eat their own fecal matter. They will eat pretty much whatever is out there. And this is part of their spiritual practice to bring in balance with extremes, because if with that belief, all things are Shiva. So with all things of Shiva, all things come from Shiva. So it's about collapsing the duality between it. And I like to look at it metaphorically, like when we go through a lot of destruction or losses, it can feel very extreme. So being able to look at things from a different perspective and see something as just a part of a journey, not just this extreme experience, but really bringing in more balance and a more grounded perspective, I think is super helpful when you are experiencing extreme situations. Another reason why I like this book is because it talks about karma. So in a past life, say I took something from someone, then in this life, if I have something that's taken from me, it's like a way of restoring balance. So that's another perspective that I like looking at and saying, okay, if I've suffered some extreme loss, then maybe I can step back and look at it from different perspectives to kind of find the right type of balance for myself in this situation. So that's why I really enjoy this book. It's a very good read, in case any of you guys are interested. It is by Robert Svoboda. I'm going to say that was the correct one. Great book. Transforming through loss. There's a lot of great teachers in this world, and loss is one of them. Loss can teach us about control. It can teach us about gratitude, grief. Most importantly, it can teach us about ourselves. And there's many different types of loss, and each one leads to the will of an individual. Back when I had my Saturn return, which wasn't that long ago, right before it happened, so our Saturn return happens between 28 and 31. So right as that was happening, I was really at a apex in life of just being proud of where I was. I mean, I felt that life was coming together and I was super excited about it. It was like one of my great achievements, especially for like a Scorpio rising. So for something to feel stable and just in a really great place. I had no idea that within a few steps into the future that I was going to just dive face first into a black hole. I had no idea. In that time frame, I lost 2 businesses. I lost the place I was living in. I had to give my cats away, which I was super sad about because I had them for like 15 years. My job, I lost my job because of COVID, my relationship that I was in, and eventually myself. And I can remember walking down the aisles in the grocery store and there was no food on the shelves, and I was pregnant, and it just felt like the whole entire world was deteriorating around me piece by piece. And I had a really hard time because I was trying to grasp and hold on to anything that I could, any type of stability, because the entire foundation that I had built everything on was falling apart. It humbled me, and it also created some new fears inside me that I had to work through. Even though it destroyed me, it taught me a lot about the truth of the experience. It allowed me to see myself more clearly. And to be honest, the experience is still pretty haunting, and I do still continually have to pull my thoughts out of it because it was, even though that sounded like a lot, it was really the garnish on top of the meal, and not everything that was present, what was going on. It was haunting, and I still find myself trying to pull myself out of those thoughts, because it is very easy to get stuck there. Loss can be that way, though. It can be a haunting of a memory of what once was. And we can get lost in that memory and really lose ourselves and our will to strive forward when we are experiencing that. We may find ourselves in the negotiation stage of grief, continually telling us, I could have, I should have, maybe this would have been a better decision. And we can be in this bargaining stage with ourselves for quite a bit of time. And we can experience all the 5 stages of grief, which are loss, denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. And all of this is the process of healing grief within loss. In my career, I've worked with cancer patients, the homeless, women of domestic abuse, paralysis, and burn survivors. And all of these people are extraordinary because extraordinary loss creates extraordinary people. Each and every single one of these individuals are just so inspiring to be around and to be able to see what life is like from that perspective. And when you are around these individuals, you learn about strength and you learn about a person's will. And it's really an extraordinary experience to be around these people. because it is motivating. It makes our problems look a hell of a lot smaller than what we once perceived them to be. It is incredible to be around these people because how they have learned to fight and strive, and a lifetime of my suffering does not compare to a minute in their shoes. And it's really an extraordinary thing to see. I have seen people that were told that they would never walk again, walk again. I have seen someone that has been internally decapitated graduate from law school. And to see just the sheer perseverance in life and to watch them wake up and fight every day to just be able to feed themselves, it is a life changing experience and a life changing perspective. And like, I just I give so much praise because it really is a extraordinary experience to be around. And you start to realize that any type of loss that we may experience in life, someone else wishes that they could have what you have. And I think that perspective is really important when it comes to loss, because loss can become this pit of despair, and it may feel very hard to claw and climb your way out of it. And I mean, I've seen people do extraordinary things, but I've also seen people really lose themselves and their sense of self because of their loss, because they're having a hard time identifying a new life without what they had before. That can be very difficult to watch, but even more difficult to experience, because it can be very hard to find out who you are now after you've gone through this experience, and it can lead to an identity crisis. And so I think it's something that's very important that we can acknowledge within our own loss, that we are now creating a new chapter after loss. But you know, the healing process of the grief of the loss is very important for us to go through and experience and be able to let go of that. Because some things we can sometimes we can see loss from a distance and then it happens, but sometimes loss can be unexpected, and it can be very hard to deal with and cope with. We may find ourselves in different stages of grief when we do experience it. Now, within loss, we can find ourselves within that pit of despair, and we can strive and rise above whatever the loss that we are experiencing. We can move beyond that loss. And sometimes loss is just the process of growth in a direction we didn't know we needed to go in. The challenges and the obstacles are the ingredients of what makes us extraordinary. Learning to approach obstacles differently, we can see a different perspective. Loss can be incredibly expansive. You can end up digging deep into yourself and finding your own way, your own groove out of it, and understanding that whatever that was lost. It may just be something that's meant to be let go so that something else can move in and take up more space. And there's many different perspectives to look at loss. And even though it can feel like we're drowning in it at times, know that it is just a moment. And sometimes it's to teach us to let go of things. Sometimes it's to teach us a different perspective on value and what we value. Loss can teach us what there is to value in life. Sometimes we may have thought like, oh, this crypto, it's gonna be huge. And then the next thing you know that crypto is crashing, and then you're losing your mind because you put all kinds of money in it. And then you realize that you had to find some different value in life, whatever that value represented for you. There was something not sturdy about it. There was some type of foundation that was broken. Rebuilding a new foundation, maybe with a different company, or sometimes with work, and we lose jobs, and sometimes that foundation wasn't there. And it's being able to look at these different situations and understanding that sometimes loss can really be a great gift. Although while it's happening, it may not feel that way, and that's okay. But later on in life, we can look at that loss and say, oh, wow, I'm really glad that happened, because then I didn't have to listen to Cindy talk shit to me on Tuesdays or whatever it is. Because sometimes even with toxic things, it can be very hard to lose like a relationship that's toxic. It can be very hard to lose a work situation that's toxic, but it's for your betterment, because it is there for you to move forward in life, because sometimes that situation just was not for you. And coming into acceptance with that is super helpful. It does help us move on. So for me, one of the ways that I look at loss is like, okay, it's time for me to move into a new direction, and there's something for me to learn here in this space. And for whatever reason that I had to go through this experience, I may find out in the future. I may never find out, and that's okay. But I am going to move into this direction and surrender and let go of whatever it was that I lost. Sometimes that's hard to do. Sometimes it's very hard to surrender and let it go. And sometimes, like me, I know I will at least have a few moments of obsessive thought about whatever it is that I lost, or how I lost it, how can I fix it. But that is part of my own journey within myself, is to learn to surrender something that is not working for me or toxic, and letting it go, and really embracing whatever new chapter is meant for me. And I know that sounds very like, ooh, but it has helped and it has worked. And that's why that's kind of the perspective that I bring about with loss. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you have at least could enjoy a few different perspectives on how to deal with loss if you're going through loss right now and you're kind of having a hard time or lost within the loss. know that it is only a moment of time. And always, if you are experiencing any kind of crisis, please do not be afraid to seek out a professional and allow them to help you navigate you through your loss. Okay, so I hope you guys have a beautiful day, and I will see you guys on the next episode. Bye.